Morning, my name is Gabe Zolna. Here we are, we're 1 week away from the Fiscal Cliff. And Obama, well, what is he doing? Well, he's having a good time. He's on vacation for a change. But more important, what he's doing is he's actually blackmailing the entire country. And what he's trying to do is he's achieving success at it. He's turning everybody that's not a Republican against the Republicans. Well, how is he doing that? Well, what he's doing is he's blaming everything that's going on right now on the Republicans because John Boehner might not capitulate and give in to his demands. See, once again, it is nothing but a smokescreen. Stop and think about it for a moment. If he was able to raise the taxes on the upper earners, let's say the people making over $1 million, he'll bring in additional revenue to run the government for 3.5 days. Now, if he goes by the plan that he wants, which is to tax everybody over $250, increase their taxes, then he'll be able to run a government for 8.5 days. Now, if he was serious, do you think that that's worth doing what he's doing to this country by trying to tear it apart for 8.5 days worth of revenue to run a government? I mean, all he has to do, and I've mentioned this before, is ask these overpaid government employees to take 1 day off. Take 1 day off a month for 6 months. If they take 1 day off a month for 6 months without pay, he will have kept the same amount of money in the government than he's trying to get by taxing the people that are making $250,000 plus. So if he was really interested in the welfare of the country, would that be too much to ask the government employees? You know, most of them can retire after 20 years. So let's say the guy's 20 or the girl is 20 years old when they decide to work for the government, okay? Well, when they're 40, guess what? They get to retire. Now, they don't retire with the same Social Security that we do. They retire with their pensions that are given to them as part of their employment. So, let's say that a sheriff in Orange County retires at the age of 40. Now, he gets 90% of what he earned in his last 3 years, the highest within the last 3 years. And what they all do is they maximize their revenue. How do they do that? Well, they work overtime. And since they're all in on the scam, they all allow them to work overtime. So now what happens is he takes his $100,000 salary, and now it's like $170,000. And guess what? He or she gets that for the rest of their lives. They get 90% of that for the rest of their lives. So what's 90% of 170? Wow, it's an awful lot of money. And if they were to pass away, their wives get half for the rest of their lives. To show you how absurd it is with the unions, California has a sheriff, Sheriff Mike Corona. Look him up on Google if you like. Guess where he is? Well, he's in prison. Now, why is he in prison? Well, he did things sheriffs shouldn't be doing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in prison. And guess what? Because the pension laws are so strict in California, guess what? Mike gets a cool $220,000 a year in pension while he's in prison. And it probably costs $50,000 a year to keep him there. Isn't that insane? Well, you know who put all those policies into place? Jerry Brown. Yeah, the governor. When he was governor before, that's what he did. He put all these, and that's just not the policemen. That's also firemen. That's all the government employees. They all get the same kind of a deal. Anyway, so what happens is us working stiffs that worked our entire lives, if we're lucky and we live long enough, we can collect Social Security. Which is like less than, what? I don't know, 10% of what they get? Isn't that crazy? Well, you know, it is what it is. And here you got Obama. He's blackmailing the American people. How's he doing that? Well, if they don't do what I want them to do, and if they don't agree to my terms, then we're going to increase the taxes. Well, you know what? I sure hope that Speaker Boner does not capitulate. If he does, it's done. Obama, as part of the deal, doesn't want a ceiling on the debt limit. And I think Johnny already said he'd agree to 1 year. You know how much damage Obama can do in 1 year? Look what he's done in 4 years. Anyway, this whole thing's insane. Will it end? I don't know. I sort of have my doubts because there's no court case that has heard anything that's worthy of hearing. They're all, I think, either in it or they've all been threatened by it. Either way, he's still hanging in. I'm just hopeful that Sheriff Joe, Detective Mike Zulu, and the Cold Cape Posse can come up with documentation, absolute proof of his ineligibility. I mean, I don't even understand how this is a debate. I mean, the guy, whether he was born in Hawaii or in Washington, D.C., who cares? His daddy, according to what he says, was and is, before he passed away, a British subject, which makes Obama a British subject based on the British Act of 1948. Look it up. So if he's a British subject, how could he be president? Oh, well. Anyway, Congress doesn't care. They're getting their deals. They got their pensions. They got their health care plans. They got everything going for them. They don't care. But you know what's funny? We put them there. So who should we blame? I've said this before. The blame is on us because we put them there. Like a guy like McCain. Don't you think he's been at it a little bit too long? Check out the National Defense Authorization Act. He co-authored it. This is a Republican. Anyway, that's a whole different story. We need to focus and pray that this nightmare ends.